Hello, here's a YouTube video about biker levels. The main reason I'm doing this video is so that I could do a video of his goofy ass mustache. My mom's coming over in a little bit, in like a half hour, and she'll freak if she sees me with this mustache, so I gotta do a video and chop it. So this particular video, excuse of talking, is about bicycle racer levels. I guess I could do something about marijuana. This is my hat, this is my hash pipe, and this is my oil pipe. But this video is about bicycle racer levels. Yeah, because I've been working on a page showing bicycle racer levels, because I want to start biking again. And there's all this information on the internet now. And all this information comparing different cyclists and different athletes of different disciplines and all this kind of stuff, and it interests me. And I want to start riding and plug myself up into the grid and watch myself go up. I don't have any goals, you know, to be like this level or that level or anything like that, or even show up at races or anything. I'm too much of a stoner to have goals. I have predictions. I would like predict where I will be and like where I was before, that kind of stuff. And that stuff is fascinating to me. I love that stuff. I'm a number cruncher, so I'll have that on my website. I don't know when I'll have that on my website. I'm working on lots of different pages, and then when they're all done, I'll just throw them all in there together at the end of the summer or whatever. But yeah. So right now, what am I going to talk about? Bicycle racer levels. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I have it divided up into watts and strength to weight ratio. How good of a biker you are depends on strength to weight ratio. And the bigger people would be good at downhills and flats and sprints and stuff, and the little people would be good at like long, steady climbs. People who win the Tour de France are usually the little people, because Tour de France consists of long, steady climbs. And that's where you can eat into people in time and stuff like that. Yeah. And on my watt page, I have a turbo trainer fluid too. So I looked on this chart and I looked at how many watts you do for how many miles an hour you go. So when I look at my computer, I'll put a chart on the paper in front of me. So when I look at how many miles an hour, it says how many watts I'm putting out, and so I know which level I'm at, like if I can hold that for a whole hour. Because your bicycle racer levels, it's decided on how many watts you can hold for an hour. I've already talked about this stuff on my the other video that I did, which I haven't uploaded yet, talking about Strava. But yeah, with cars, you know, you have horsepower, because it's the same throughout the whole thing, but with athletes, you get weaker as you start, because we run on different, you know, form of energy than cars do. We use glycogen, which runs out, and then we have to run on just reserves and stuff like that. And then sometimes we get adrenaline, and it's, you know, but yeah. So horsepower, if you're gonna figure horsepower for a cyclist, it's for an hour. What you would average in an hour, because an hour is like, I guess, an hour average ride for somebody. They call it the functional threshold. And then there's the 20-minute, what you can do for 20-minute, I think it's called anaerobic threshold. And they say that 95% of that is what your functional threshold is, but I was looking at, from what I've seen on Strava and stuff like this, it's more like a half hour gets translated into 95%. It's a lot less than 95% for 20 minutes, but so those are the numbers that I plug in. Anyways, yeah, because I'm collecting different riders from all sorts of different like locations on the internet, man. I've got people from Watt Bike, because Watt Bike has a website where people, it's like Wiki, you can just do it and then add yourself in. I actually added myself in. Somehow it went in wrong, and once you add it in, you can't fix it. It's like really primitive website, but it's pretty cool because I got to look at all these people who did the Watt Bike and how many watts they can average for an hour, and it was mostly rowers. So it's cool. I know how fast rowers are on bicycles, because a lot of those people, I looked how much they weigh, because they're like nationally ranked professional rowers. So you know, they have profile, and you can see how much they weigh, and then you can dial it. You can figure out what quality biker they are and throw them in. I also have some other just racers who race from roller races I got on the internet. Oh, Strava. I have Strava people. I just looked in those different Strava sections, like Olympic distance time trial, because that's usually an hour. And the people who rides that took exactly an hour, I plug those in and I see how many watts they were doing and like what level of rider they were on their training rides. And then also, I'm going to assume they're going as hard as they can also. So I see, the record holder for like a Olympic tri course, and then I see who they are, and then I plug in what level they are, and I create all the levels. So I have I think it's 40 levels for strength, and then 54 levels for quality of rider, divided up into, for quality of rider, strength to weight ratio, it is different sections. You have like international pro, domestic pro, cat 1, cat 2, cat 3, cat 4, cat 5, and commuter. I did the test and I averaged, actually maybe I need to look at it again since I calibrated, but yeah, I think I averaged like I averaged 17.33 miles an hour, which I think for the Fluid 2 translates into about 200 watts for an hour. And that's completely off the couch for me, bottom base. My roommate participated, and he did, he's a commuter. He commutes a lot more than I do. But he did 16.84, so I beat him. He was only 97% strong as me. But he's 30 pounds less. He's 155 pounds, and I'm 185. So he's a 2.73 on the bike racer level, and I'm a 2.3. So I'm like halfway through commuter. I'm a mid commuter, which is pretty good for somebody who never does any exercise at all. I'm like an average commuter. And he's like a mid-pack cat 5 at a 2.8. So I have like the levels of all like what your average mid-pack, cat 5, cat 4, cat 3, cat 2, cat 1, domestic pro, international pro for both men and women, and the average of strength to weight ratio, as well as the average for how many watts they can put out for a climber, all-arounder, and a sprinter body type for each one of those levels for both sections. And then I have examples of all the different riders. So it's cool because I'm interested in comparing different athletes from different disciplines. One thing that people don't really think about a whole lot, I think, is they don't realize how much crossover there can be with cardiovascular related endurance sports like swimming, rowing, cycling, running. Because it's like how good your cardiovascular system is, your heart and your lungs, and so all those sports use it, Nordic skiing. And they're all cardiovascular sports, so there can be crossover. And people don't really think of it that way. People think of like a professional cyclist. Like a little climber could put out more watts on a bike than a professional rower, even if the rower outweighs him by 100 pounds because his legs are stronger because he's riding all the time. But what powers the legs is the heart and lungs. So a rower can just jump on a bike and basically be up there with the best riders just because they train with their heart rate up so high. If you're a lollygagger like my roommate, he would ride, say, 100 miles a week, or more when he's working even more, and which is a lot more than a rower who would like only ride occasionally around town. But the rower could destroy my roommate in a bicycle race because my roommate's a lollygagger and they're trained to get strong. They hammer when they go. So it's interesting. Like there's this guy, like I think Eddie Merrickx and Lance Armstrong can do 469 watts. Eddie Merck's like 463, Lance Armstrong's like 469. This is just stuff I gathered on. I just Google, and then you go to some forum, and then somebody writes something, and I just copy it. And I just copy a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different places. And something looks totally out of place. Like somebody gave me some information about some pro racer, and it was like they had a strength to weight ratio way too high, so I just didn't include that. So as long as they fit in, I just throw it all in, and then I look at it in the end, and it all puts together, and all fits pretty well. It's pretty cool. But there's this rower who did 477 watts. He's stronger than Lance Armstrong. He's not even a cyclist because he's 254 pounds, 6'7" giant rower dude, Craig Giles. But even on a bike, he's still pretty good. Strength to weight ratio, I think he was like 3.84, which was like, I figured, see, I don't know how good I was. See, I raced bikes when I was a kid. I raced bikes from 1984 to 1987 on the road, and 1987 to 1992 on a mountain bike. And, but I don't know how strong I was because I never timed myself in anything. I wasn't like that. I just ride up in the mountains and go up straight up, really steep granny gear stuff and straight down and like really bumpy, before they invented shocks for mountain bikes. And so I was that kind of a rider, and I wasn't really strong on terms of, say, if I was going to go on an hour-long ride, I wouldn't probably be able to hold out at like a lot of watts, I'd probably be like halfway back or even like 2/3 of the way back in the pack. Kids my age, it wasn't for that particular thing. For really steep stuff, I was pretty good. See, I showed up to like 4 or 5 USCF races. I only did mountain bike races. And those USCF races, the road races I showed up for, I just got dropped right at the beginning because they all started so fast and I didn't have any leg speed. So I figured I was about 145 pounds, I think is what I figured. 240 watts, so I was like a 2.78. No, 3.78, which is like back of the pack expert. Back of the pack, like Cat 3. So I figured that's what I was when I was 17 racing. And then I got better. I think the best I ever got was when I was in Australia. I was bike touring across Australia for like 3 months. Riding all day, every day. And that was before I gained weight from weightlifting. And so I figured I was about 318 watts at 165 pounds. So I was riding at about a 4.36, which is like a mid Cat 2 on my little chart. Maybe I'll do another video, a screen capture showing my chart when I'm done. Yeah, so that's the best I ever got. And then when I did the 24 hours of Moab, I finished 16th out of 44 on the National 24-Hour Mountain Bike Championships in 2010, 24 hours of Moab. And I figured I was about 318 watts there at 175 pounds, so I was riding at about a 3.86, I think, for that. My lap time, my first lap time was 1:16, which is 5 minutes slower than the fastest girl, Pua Sawicki, who got 1:11, and she's like an enduro rider, like a front of the pack enduro rider. So it was probably like kind of like so that makes sense, like back of the pack expert, kind of like front of the pack for the women, but not top. Yeah. So, but I don't know what level I was as a kid. Well, I just have to guess. Anyways, and what else? I have, what else do I have on there? Well, I also have people who did longer rides, and looking at their watts and then plugging that in. Yeah, it's interesting how like weaker people get pretty quickly, and if it's over an hour, and how strong people are if it's under an hour. Like somebody can go 20 minutes and hold like 600 watts, but nobody can hold anywhere near 500. Wait, no. I think Fabian Cancellara can hold 500 for an hour. Yeah. Anyways. But that stuff is, I've been figuring that stuff out, and see if I figure it all out, all the numbers and everything, I can gauge myself. Oh, and in the thing I plugged in if I weigh 155 pounds, how many watts I have to hold in order to be a certain level. So, you kind of know exactly how far ahead all the other people are. It's like making my little chart with the front of the pack to the bottom of the pack, and the levels and everything. It's kind of like, in my mind, I know where everybody is, so every time I'm riding, it's like you're in a race and you know exactly how far ahead the guy in front of you is and the guy in front of you is. You know how strong they are. It's not like some kind of mystery, like they're untouchable or whatever. You know exactly where they are. And as you're moving forward, it's like you're Herbie just passing people. I don't know how far I'll get. I think the consensus is a 9-to-5er person, a 9-to-5er male. I haven't figured this out completely for women, but a 9-to-5er male is about a 4.0. You can expect to get to about a 4.0. If you're a fully dedicated, you know, like you're spending 5 hours a day on the ride, on the bike, you can, for 90 to 95, 99%, 90 to 95% of us can expect to get to a 4.5. And the best I ever got was like a 4.35. I think the best women are like 5.53. Because I saw somebody said Evelyn Stevens did 325 watts. I assume that's for 25 minutes. They said her FTP is 325, which means for an hour, but that's too much. So I figured 20 minutes. And then so I chopped 95% of that away and it said 309, and then I plugged in her weight, 123 pounds, and it said she's a 5.53. So, which is a lot. That's like as good as like a domestic pro male. So, anyways, and sometimes you see these Strava people, they have like, you're like, how can they be that strong? And I think it's like, maybe on Strava, you know, like sometimes people just have really good days, you know, you're like just crazy strong and you don't know why, but it got recorded, you know? So those people who are the best, but only when nobody's looking, like the Strava's for you, because Strava's always looking. It's pretty cool. For example, there's this rider, I don't know who it is, it's in Boulder, this chick, naked rider. Average like 414 watts or something. Just an amateur rider, so this chick must be like 6'2" or something. And then you see some riders, like you look at them and they do, like Lisa Nordin did St. Brain in 1:42, but you look at her watts and it was only 193. So she must have been getting pulled by a bunch of people. So you can tell by looking at it, by how much they weigh and how much watts they do, if they did it in a pack or if they did it by themselves. And you can also look at the other times and, you know, see if they rolled in together. But that's why I wish on Strava they would have people list their weights. All the riders should list their weights, because you see their watts, and if you had their weight listed, then you would know they're at their strength to weight ratio in all of their rides, and then you could know exactly how good they are. Which I guess people don't like to like share trade secrets. You know, it's like a tradition with everybody in all the industries worldwide. And I'm sure cycling is no different. You know, cycling, you want to, when you're in the race, you try to make it look like you're not suffering, and so if you let people know your FTP, you probably want to lowball it anyway, so that you're stronger than you show you are, and it's all bullshit, man. We need to change that and become transparentists, you know, and not like take shortcuts and cheat and like support all of this secrecy and all this stuff, you know. So it's related to the wider world. If you cause transparency within your own self and your own little world that you live in, it can grow out like a mustard seed to the rest of the world, and we'll have transparency in our politics as well. So it's better for everybody if we all share our strength to weight ratio and our FTP and our body weight and our height and what position we're fucking, how many hits of hashish we do a day, all that cool stuff, man. Oh, sorry, I just had to do that. So what else was I talking about? Bicycle racing levels. Yeah, so it's cool to see. I can, it'll be a cool thing to blog about, because I can ride all the time. And I want to figure out a way to ride all the time, dude. I want to do it like Lance Armstrong riding, where I'm like 5 and 6 hours a day, or even more, like 10 hours a day. And then I can watch myself go up, and then when I get to the top and I'm not getting better anymore, I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's my genetic limit, you know? Just find out where my genetic limit is. And also to tweak my body in certain different kind of races and see which kind of body type is the best. I want to get down to 155 pounds is my fighting weight, I think. I'm just guessing. For regular type of racing, like what normal people do, like these 2, 3, 4 hour races. And I want to get down to that weight, just to know how I ride it that way, and then be at that weight when I get my nice bikes, which will be like another year. The nice light 16-pound bike, and then like try to do the Strava, get as good a Strava time I can on the local rides, the shorter rides around here at that body weight, and then build my body weight back up to become more of a designed to be more for an endurance cyclist. I think endurance cyclist is definitely not gonna, for me, 5'10", 155 pounds is too light for an endurance, for a 24-hour mountain bike racer. I want to be at least 165 pounds. And I think 175 pounds will be the best. That's just my guess. But I will find out for sure because I want to do all the different rides, all the different ways. And also compare my bikes. Like with Strava, you can know how fast you are with different bikes. But anyways, that's kind of I already did the video on Strava. This one's bicycle racer level. So yeah, but it'll be, with my little chart, now I can trace in the future people getting better, because people aren't as good as they were in the past, because we're not doing drugs anymore. Lance Armstrong winning the Tour de France was a 6.7, and now the best riders are like a 6.1. Yeah. But maybe we'll get up to 6.7 again in like another 20 or 30 years from all the other technology advances and stuff. Yeah, I mean, they should make a new sport for the rowers so that the rowers can do well. Duathlon, is that even a sport where you just cut out the running? It's just swimming and riding. Because then those big rowers could, have a motivation to get into riding more and swimming and not just be stuck to the rowing. Like the different body types, just comparing the different body types for different terrains and seeing, I want to come up, I don't know if I can do it with the data that I have. I think I will, actually, a really crude one. And if anybody else has a little chart, that'd be cool to know about it. But to know exactly how much better a certain number of kilograms heavier a person is would make them better, at like a downhill or a flat, like the same people, the same straight point ratio, only one person is like 20 pounds heavier, like how much slower are they going to be on an hour-long 13% climb, and how much faster are they going to be on an hour-long going around a velodrome. So, see, in the future, we'll all figure this stuff out, We're figuring stuff out so quickly with data. We'll have it all figured out in the future, and so that's part of the fascinating part for me with this whole bicycle racer levels and all the data out there is figuring it all out and figuring out the comparisons and how they all, different riders do in different situations. And then people can, tailor their bodies to a certain sport, and it's not like one rider's better than another rider. It's just one rider's better at this particular type of event. Am I out of time? Okay, yeah, it's almost 11. So I think that's the video with my creepy mustache about bicycle racer levels. And that'd be cool to know. See, if I advertise my bicycle racer level as much as I can, then maybe I could motivate other people to do it, and then I would know what theirs are, and then that would get me off. I just love, I love guessing and then finding out and seeing if it's different from what I thought it was, and yada, yada, yada. So that's my YouTube video for today. Peace out.